out. So we're still looking at the Tehillim, that is Tehillim number 24, because we're still looking at the Tehillim that represents the beginning of the week. This is the Tehillim of Yom Rishon, and we're still pulling out of it exactly what I was saying, like different instructions for our lives, our attitudes, our hashkafa, okay? So let's take a look at the Tehillim. So I was going to do something on sentence number 3 in the Tehillim. So sentence number 3, what does it say? Mi ya'aleh b'har Hashem. Who will ascend to the mountain of Hashem? Like, who's going to go up the mountain of Hashem? Umi yakum bimkom kacho. And let's see what the other part is. And who will stand in the place of his sanctity? So first, when I looked at it, I was thinking, like, not telling you anything. What did I think for a minute when it said, who will go up to the mountain of Hashem? So which mountain are we referring to?
Har Zion.
Which, okay, what did you say, Jody?
Har Zion.
Okay, so Har Zion, very good. And what did anyone else think? Everybody think Har Zion, which is good. Yes, Har Zion is like the mountain of Jerusalem. What is that mountain of Jerusalem? What is it? See, I originally, funny that Gina said that. For a minute there I went, it's Har Sinai. That's what I thought it was originally. But that would not be the mountain of Jerusalem. Like when I first took that first look, I was thinking like, yeah, who got to go up to the mountain? It was only Moshe, but we're not talking about that mountain. We're not. We're talking about the mountain that Jody talked about, which is Har Zion. What is the mountain of Jerusalem, the most famous mountain of Jerusalem? What is it? The Temple Mount.
Har HaMoriah.
Yeah, Har HaMoriah. That's the mountain that we're talking about. So this is a very question is a very futuristic question. It's a very futuristic question, right? Because what are we waiting for? What are, every class, people give, every time we talk, everyone says, and in the end, we hope that
Mashiach.
Yes, Mashiach will come and we will all be returned to Jerusalem. So now the question is, like, who's going to go? Who's going to be able to go to this mountain of Jerusalem? And it also says kind of like stay there, not just climb up the mountain. You climb up the mountain, then you're like, and you fall right back. We're talking about somebody who could climb up the mountain and stay up at the mountain. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? So it's someone who would appreciate all this. Like, it was funny, I was talking to somebody today, like sometimes I find it hard. I don't know about you, but I sometimes find it hard, like when you're reading in the Torah all about the sacrifices, right? And it's like, and this sacrifice and that sacrifice, and then they sprinkle blood, and then they do this, and then they do that. And I'm sitting there going like, does anyone in the world able to relate to this stuff? Like, it's like so, woo, you know what I mean? It just seems so far away, so distant to anything that we have ever done in terms of our service to Hashem. Like, it's just, so how is it that we're going to be able to go back and do all these things? How are we going to be able to go back and do all these things? How are we going to say, look, when Mashiach comes and says, okay, it's the end, everybody get on a plane. How are you going to be able to want to go?
Because Eliyahu and Navi will announce it.
Okay, Eliyahu and Navi will announce it. And you've been what? You've been studying it. You've been trying to live it. You've been trying to understand it. You've been actually working on this. You've been putting your hopes and dreams on this reality. Now, what about all the Jewish people who haven't? Okay, and we go, okay, everybody get on the plane. Okay, what are they going to do? Where are we going? And we're going to say, oh, we're going to the Temple Mount to do service to Hashem. And they're going to say, if we were going to Eilat, maybe I'd think about it. Okay, like you have to be, are we going on a JWRP trip? Okay, no, we're going to the Temple Mount to serve Hashem. Okay, so what's going on? When the Torah is asking who's going to go, then the answer is going to be people who care, people who want to go, people who knew about this, people who acquired a taste for being connected to Hashem. But if you didn't acquire one, then not only are you not going to want to go, even if you do go, it's going to be very hard to want to stay. Does this make sense to everybody? Okay, So this is an important thing, like the Tehillim is kind of waking you up, and it's a good way to start the week. Because in your week, you could be incredibly distracted, right? And you can incredibly not realize, like, what am I really here for? And you can take all of the physicality and all of the what's it called? Stresses and frustrations and all this, stuff, and it can just take you completely over, right? It can just envelop you, and then you really don't have any room for spiritual pursuits. So it's very important for us to understand, like, service and serving Hashem is serving Hashem not only on the Temple Mount, but it's serving him in all the areas and taking all of the physical realities, right, and imbuing them with spirituality. And then when you'll finally have that incredible moment to really go home and be in a spiritual zone, you will know what it tastes like, and you will be very happy to do what? To embrace it. Very interesting. Another concept to this, which I think is just very beautiful, is who is able to climb up to the Temple Mount is really the Jewish people. And that's who it really belongs to. And I think sometimes that's hard, right? Because right now it's not in our hands. It's actually in their hands. And if we would try to get into the real Temple Mount, so to speak, we would start riots. Okay, people would come out and kill us. It's not for us right now. We're not on that spiritual level to go there, but just for us to understand that although Hashem said, I'm everywhere and you could find me everywhere, there's one place you can find me more than anywhere else. And that's why you will see, like, when I go, really, do you ever have this, like, you'll go on these tours and you'll see a tour bus of Chinese people, right? Asian people getting off the tour bus and going to the kotel, and they're putting their hand on the kotel and they're crying. And you're like, what's going on here? And then you realize, because the spirituality is very thick. It's really the place where Hashem resides, right? Many people who are not moved by much, they go to the kotel and they just have this, like, some kind of a feeling towards a wall. Like, if you really look at it, it's not like this gorgeous architecture with these beautiful pictures and all this other kind of stuff, right? Like, there's something just uniquely spiritual there. But in the end of it all, that unique spirituality and that unique place was really given as a gift to the Jewish people. It's really ours, and it's where we can connect to Hashem more than any other place. So I just want to tell you a story, like, because when I'm telling you this idea of, like, who's going to be able to connect to Hashem, it's got to be someone who is open to this. And this is a true story, but it's not an easy story to hear. Okay, it's a true story, but like I said, it isn't easy. All right. So the story.
There is a noise like a bird in the background.
Oh, are you hearing birds? Okay, hold on. Let me close my window because it could be the birds. They're all davening to Hashem right now. Okay, perfect. Okay. We're going to have to ask them to daven a little quieter. Okay, so not close the window. Okay, thanks, Esther.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so here's the story, because you, like, spirituality, you have to feel it and then take it seriously. Okay, because, like, to climb up a mountain and stay on top is a heavy sentence, because a lot of us feel inspired and you might start climbing up the mountain, and then what happens? You can't hold on to the inspiration, okay? And down the mountain you go, like, I'm gonna not talk Lashon Hara, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna keep Shabbat, and I'm not turning on the lights, and I'm gonna be careful with my kosher. And it's like 2 days, and then the third day is, boy, keeping kosher isn't as much fun as going to what's it called. So it takes a lot of focus, right, and commitment and understanding. So this to me is it's not an easy story, okay? So it's a true story. It's one of Rabbi Yoel Gold's stories. So he only verifies them. He sometimes even makes videos out of the story. So the story is with this two people. One is Rabbi Aaron Levy. And Rabbi Aaron Levy was a Kiruv activist. Like, that's what he did. He was a Kiruv activist in Beis Halevi in Jerusalem. Okay, in Yerushalayim. So there was a nice Shabbaton that was happening, and the Shabbaton included someone's bar mitzvah. So what happened was they were going to make this beautiful Shabbos out of it for all the bar mitzvah guests. And many of them were Chiloni, many of them were secular people. So there was one family that was coming, and the name of the family, the husband's name was Shimon Aloni. So Shimon Aloni was coming with his wife and with 3 kids. Okay. And they had actually never kept a Shabbat. They really didn't know what it was. They never kept Shabbos. So, all right, they're coming for the bar mitzvah. They agreed to be part of the Shabbaton. Great. So Shimon Aloni gets there. And you know what? The accommodations weren't such 5 stars. All right. They were like kind of cramped and like a lot of people and one bathroom. And he's looking at this and he's going, you know what? I need this like a hole in the head. You know, like my one day of rest, I don't want to spend in these cramped quarters. And he turned to the wife. He said, look, I know there's the bar mitzvah and it's your mishpacha. You could stay with the 3 kids. But I'm not interested in being squished, okay, and uncomfortable. So I'm going. So he goes out of the building and he goes into his car. And meanwhile, this Rabbi Aloni, right? This Rabbi, not Aloni, sorry, this Rabbi Aaron Levy, he hears that this, Shimon Aloni is leaving. So he runs after him. And the guy is already in the car, ready to start. And this Rabbi Levy opens the door, jumps in, and sits next to him in the car. So this Shimon Aloni is like, Slicha Rav, but what are you doing in my car? So he says, listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. I know how amazing and incredible this Shabbaton is. This is going to be the best Shabbat of your life. And I'm promising you, I'm not just telling you, I'm promising you, you are never going to be as inspired as you will be at this Shabbaton. And I am not letting you leave. So the guy goes like, what? Like, look, it's cramped. It's too tight for me. I'm a big guy. I get hot sick quickly. This is not for me. He goes, I'm telling you, if you drive away in the car, I'm going with you. I am not getting out of this car. That's it. Either you're staying here for Shabbat with me or I'm tagging along you. Okay. So this Shimon Aloni is like, okay, forget it, Rabbi, you win. All right. So he gets out of the car and he ends up staying for the Shabbat. And it's like beyond. Okay. They take them. It was in Jerusalem and they had organized for them to see many great rabbis and tzaddikim, including Rabbi Kaduri and all these like really, to bring it down in layman terms, big guns. Okay, so they're going to see all the big guns, and his family meets them, and the kids, and everybody's getting brachas, and it's like he was just completely blown away. Okay, now this is all a true story. I actually remember this a little. I'm wondering if anybody else does. It was Motzi Shabbos, right? After the Shabbaton, after this beautiful bar mitzvah, after this holy, wonderful day, and you look in the streets of Yerushalayim after Shabbos, there's like tons of families and kids and everybody's walking in the street and it's so beautiful. And this Shimon Aloni and Rabbi Aaron Levy, they're all, going like for a spatzir, so to speak. They're all just enjoying. Shabbos is gone. Now we're just going to walk in the streets. We're not going to run into the cars. We're just going to enjoy ourselves. Like take this time. Don't let it just go away. And suddenly there's a huge bomb. Do you remember this? There was a huge terrorist attack in Jerusalem. I remember this. Esther, you remember? On Motzi Shabbos. It was a real pogrom.
No.
I remember this so well. It was a couple years ago. And it was in like the Mea Sharim kind of area, Geula Mea Sharim, right? And this bomb goes off, right? And this Shimon Aloni's 2 children are flown into the air. Had breaking out everywhere. And this Rabbi Aaron Levy, his baby's blown out of the what's it called? Agala stroller. And this baby like rolled under a car. And someone from Hatzalah saw the baby, ran to the baby, picked up the baby and ran. And as he ran, the car exploded and went into this huge fire, right? Huge burning fire. So now Shabbos is over and 9 children were killed, 8 of which came from that bar mitzvah, and 2 of which were this were Shimon Aloni's children. His kids. Could you imagine? Like 50 people were injured. Like this is a horrific reality, a horrific reality. Now this Rabbi Aaron Levy is like sick. he was the one who jumped in the car and told this Shimon Aloni to stay for the Shabbaton, right? And told him, you're going to have the best Shabbos you ever had in your life. It's a true story. This isn't, you know what I mean? So now, Baruch Hashem, his child was saved. But this Shimon Aloni's 2 children were murdered in this terrorist attack. So now everybody's crying, and it's like just bedlam. You can imagine what this was. Like they show you news clips where they're interviewing this Shimon Aloni, and he's like just crying, like they took my son, they took my sons. He's just like bawling. Okay, so now Rabbi Levi has something he has to do. What does he have to do now? He has to visit them during Shiva. That's what he has to do.
Oh,
Yeah. So he's petrified. Like he's thinking, what? Like, what am I going to do? Like, you know what I mean? What should I do? But he knew he had to go. He couldn't run from the story. And he was like, there's an expression, like he didn't do anything to hurt anybody. He had no evil intention. His intention was only for the best. Was this man's intention his intention was for the best. In fact, if you think about him, like I was thinking he was quite a heroic person, because often you do a kiruv Shabbaton and somebody says, I'm not staying. So you go, okay, please. And they go, no. And then you go, sorry, I guess maybe next time. And you walk away. But this guy was really willing to put himself out for this story. So now he's got to go into this house, and he lived in Rishon LeZion. Okay, so he drives up, and he's like sick. He just doesn't even know what to expect. Like, what's going to be. Like this guy could just, blow on him. Like who knows what he could do to him. So he walks in, and this Shimon Aloni looks up, and he sees him, and he just starts crying, and he runs into his arms, and this rabbi runs into his arms, and they're just holding each other and crying and crying and crying. And this Rabbi Levi saying, please, I never meant any harm to you. And he says to him, this is a person who is going to climb the mountain. He says to him, I understand this wasn't you. This was all from Hashem. And it had to happen. And if I wouldn't have gone to that Shabbaton, I would never be able to understand what happened. But I realized that there is a God in heaven. He took my children for a reason. Now that I understand that there is Hashem, there is a purpose, there is a Shabbat, there is a Torah, there is a this, there is a that, I'm Sabrach, and he said, I'm completely broken, but I can understand. So this is the thing.
this is huge.
It's an unbelievable story. It doesn't end here. Okay. So they not only became best friends, they became brothers. Okay. And they had a life together always. They were always together and doing things and this and that. And it's cute. Like when they show you he's like a rabbi with a big beard, and he's a cute, Israeli guy with a kippah and his little t-shirt. You know what I mean? And they're always were good friends. From this moment on, they're very good friends. And what happens is this baby that was saved, right? From Rabbi Levi, right? Who was saved from under the car. He grew up, and he ended up having a beautiful, beautiful voice. And he had extremely talented ear, and he would actually write music. And he was in such awe over the relationship that this Shimon Aloni had with his father, Rabbi Levi, that he wanted to write a song. In their honor and in honor of this Shimon Aloni. Like he couldn't believe his bravery and how he lived his life. And he always said, Gamzu Latova, it's all for the best. Nothing is bad from Hashem. He used to talk like that. So one time he was learning his Gemara, and there was a pshat, there was an explanation, and there was a sentence, a pasuk, and the sentence is she'ein davar ra min hashamayim. She'ein davar ra min hashamayim. There is nothing bad from heaven. And he looked at that sentence and he said, that's the song. That's going to be the chorus of the song, because that is what Shimon Aloni expressed. And then he had a strong passion. He said, I got to find Yaakov Shweki. Does anybody know who Yaakov Shweki is? People listen to his music all the time. So now you're going to listen to his music and you're going to understand the song. So he spoke to someone in the music industry, and he said, I wrote a song and I know that this is the song that Yaakov Shweki could sing. This song should be part of the Jewish people's music literature. Do you know what I mean? And so this man connected him to Yaakov Shweki, and he sang him the song. And it's such a beautiful song. And he told him the whole story, where he was inspired for the song. So I think the song is like Zeh Klal Gadol. This is a great, Klal Gadol is a great rule, right? A great, is that the word for it? A great rule. Rule as in R-U-L-E. You know, when you have rules of the game. Zeh Klal Gadol be'amuna. This is a great rule in amuna, right? Lachshov be'amuna shalema. That you should think with full amuna. She'ein davar ra min hashamayim. That there is nothing bad that comes from heaven. So we've got to find the song. Guys, when you finish the class, Google up Yaakov Shweki and look for the song She'ein davar ra min hashamayim. There's nothing bad from heaven. And that comes from this story. Okay, so when I ask you a question like, who will be able to climb the mountain? It's only a person who has tasted spirituality, who has learned, who has understood. You can't taste this. It's like it's me and wine. Anybody here a wine maven? Like, I used to put red wine. I didn't even know you're not supposed to put red wine in the refrigerator. Okay, like people would come to my house. Their buddy's like, this is for you, Rabbi and Rebbitzin, and we'd be like, okay, like we had no idea. It was like this expensive bottle of wine. We get it on Friday, we put it in the fridge. And then they would come to our house, Friday night for Shabbos, and they go, oh, are we gonna have the wine? And we'd say, like, of course, here, we're taking it out of the fridge. And they'd be like, no, that's not what you do to red wine. It's the same thing here. Do you see? Right? How many times you're with people and you so want to explain what's going on, or how to look at their life, or how to raise their spirit, or how to infuse them with hope, and you just know that they couldn't hear you. They have no idea what you're talking about when you say Ein davar ra min hashamayim. There's no bad thing from heaven. They start telling you, what are you talking about? Right? They have no idea that you look at the world from a whole different lens. You have a whole different, you're wearing a different pair of glasses. Your prescription is different because you worked for it to be different, because you opened your heart, because you learn every night. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So when you're going to ask yourself, who's going to climb the mountain? I'm going to answer you. Okay. It's like a very beautiful idea. Okay, so let me see what else I wanted to do. Okay, so that's how we're going to get up that mountain. All right, we're not going to fall back because we're going to work to stay up. And the work that it takes to stay up is to continue learning, right? Is to continue.
Very easy to find the song. I found it already.
Oh, you found it? Okay, can you put it on for a second? I want to know. Oh, well, even though, okay, we're only going to listen to it l'shem learning, okay? We're not supposed to listen to music during Sira, but it's not like a upbeat, happy song. I just want you to hear it for a second. Can you put it on, Esther?
I am.
Okay, instead of my birds. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want you to hear the words.
You hear it? No.
Okay. All right. We don't hear it. You know what? If you could send me the link, and then I'll mail it out.
It's playing, but I guess it does not
doesn't go on. I don't know why. Okay, sorry. All right.
But it's exactly like you said. Very easy. You look on YouTube, and the Vara.
Okay.
Mishamayim.
Okay.
Mishamayim and put Shweki.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So maybe everyone will do it, okay? Okay, so now we're gonna look. Okay, so that's the climbing, and we did that with the mountain, and you realize that climbing up a mountain, easy or not?
Not easy.
No. Okay, climbing up your stairs isn't easy. Okay, so what's going on when you're trying to climb up a mountain? Why is climbing up a mountain so hard? Right, because you are going against gravity, right? Everything is right. Water flows down. Most people, when, most of our lives, what would we rather be doing? Sitting and laying down or standing and moving? Okay. All right, let's be real. Okay. So body really is forever pulling you down. All right. It takes effort to be a lech lecha. It takes effort to move. Right. What's so interesting is when you start moving, that's when you feel the greatest joy. From sitting and laying down, you don't feel really good. It's from the movement, right? It's from the growth that you really feel good. Okay, so now let's look at the third line. It's a very interesting line. Okay, so let me see. Okay, we're on 3. Okay, so Naki Chapayim. Oh wait, no. Oh yeah, so who's going to be the one who will be able to stand in the place of his sanctity? So who's going to manage to be able to be in that temple, stay in the temple, climb the mountain? Who? Nekich chapayim uvar levav. Oh, what kind of person is this? One with clean hands and a pure heart. Asher lo nasal lashav nafshi, right? Who has not sworn in vain by my soul. Okay, the lo nishba limirma, and has not sworn deceitfully. So who's the kind of person? This is a really not so simple. Who's the kind of person who's going to be able to really maintain this reality? Is someone whose hands are clean. So what do you think when you say someone who's
a tzaddik maybe.
Okay, a tzaddik. What do you think? Clean hands, like besides that we've been disinfecting our hands for the last 2.5 years. Okay, so what do we mean when we say someone with
Somebody who does not cheat.
Yeah, very, very true. Okay, someone who does not cheat. Now, really, it's tough. Okay, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough to keep your hands 100% clean, right? It's hard not to want what other people have. When you're little kids, they're always sneaking a candy, they're always taking a this, they're always taking a that. Why is it that they have such a hard time controlling themselves? Why?
Their brain is underdeveloped.
Okay, so the brain hasn't developed. That's for sure the case.
That's Dana.
So what's the animal brain? Really, that same animal brain, right? It's the lymphatic system. No, not the lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is something else. It has a name. Limbic or something. Yeah, the limbic brain. So this animal.
Limbic.
Yes. Limbic brain. Okay, so it's like this animal side of us. So what's the animal side of us? I have nice things, but you have nicer, and I wish I could have what you have. Like that's, that's the animal side, right? Like I just want it. Okay, so now you have to have this frontal cortex, like the more spiritual, more mature side, right? So what's it telling you? Like, how are you able to keep your hands clean when you see people who have a lot of stuff? Very few people really, you borrow something, you have to remember to return it. Clean hands isn't so simple. You owe money, you need to pay it. You know how many people owe people money and they just can't seem to remember? Why is it that they just can't seem to remember?
Because they want to give it back.
Yes, because if it's important to you, you would remember, right? But it's not, because bottom line is you really want to keep it. So clean hands, like really, how many people borrow people's books and don't return them?
Give it back.
Right, like so many different things. So having clean hands takes a lot of effort. So what would motivate you? What motivates you to keep your hands clean? What motivates us to return the book? Okay, good. Talia, what would motivate us?
I just wanted to give an example of someone who had very clean hands is Abraham. When he went with animals, he made sure that they won't eat the grass of the people when they pass their orchards.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. He muzzled them, right? And his nephew didn't. And then was like a big fight broke out between the shepherds because one shepherd said, you know what, you really have to muzzle that animal. And the guy said, why should I? It's the grass. Who cares? Nobody knows. Nobody sees. I could just take it. Okay, so that was an excellent example. But you have to have a certain understanding to be able to internalize this because it can be very tempting. It can be very tempting. You know, like in our world, there's a concept of Robin Hood. You know, it's not so terrible to steal from the rich, to give to the poor when that's you. Okay, you know? So I'm just trying to say, like, the Torah doesn't want you to steal from the rich to give to the poor. You can't steal. You can ask the rich.
We always have an excuse. We convince ourselves that what
Yes,
we're doing
yes,
is right.
is right.
And it's not right.
Shamayim, right? But it really is, you know, there's a very interesting board. They say, like, a lot of people say, I'm doing it l'shem shamayim, right? I'm doing it for the sake of heaven. So a lot of people say, you know, we never knew that you had so many names and one of your names was Shamayim. Okay,
Yeah.
right? Okay, you're doing it for yourself. But how can you stop yourself? How can you stop yourself from that wanting to take? You know, like it's really, I want to be honest, like, you know, being able to be happy for someone. It's
When
very,
you
very hard.
understand that it's really not belongs to you,
Beautiful. Okay, Esther, beautiful. And who does it belong to?
to the
Well,
person who has it.
Yeah,
Because
and
that's what
who's
Hashem
it?
wanted me to have.
Oh, okay, that's it. Okay, so it goes back to this concept of Amuna. Okay, what's yours belongs to you, and you can't. The reality is, you have to know this. Okay, it's a tough one. No one can take anything away from you unless Hashem wants it to be. Right? And you're not going to get anything, no matter how hard you try, unless Hashem wants you to have it. Okay, so now you're going to ask me, and you should. It's a fair question. So why in the world do we see all these people who are the absolute worst people, right? Terrible, and they're, you know, steal, and they're corrupt, and they're this and that. Like, that's the hardest part about watching the news. Okay, very hard today to watch the news because you see many corrupt individuals who have done like terrible scams, winning and getting millions and billions of dollars and looking like, you know, they're high on the hog. So why is that? Why is that? Because Hashem has to give you free will choice. If everybody who did the right thing got everything, that was amazing, and everyone who did the wrong thing got like an automatic punishment, then what would happen? You wouldn't have any free will choice, just be a robot. So it'll be very hard to stretch and have what we call Muna. So there's something called, you know, when you look at a storefront, what do they put in the storefront?
The most beautiful stuff.
Yeah, the most beautiful stuff, all these mannequins with all the gorgeous stuff. Why do they put the most beautiful stuff in the front of the store? Yeah, to entice you to go in and get into the store. Sometimes, like, you know, they'll do that with the sales, right? It'll say like 80% off. And then you walk in and then it says, you know, some things are 80% off. You know, you're looking through the rack and you think it's all 80%, then you see the fine print. Okay, so it's to entice you. So there's something called the storefront for the Yetzer Hara. All right, and trust me, you don't want to be the storefront for the Yetzer Hara. You don't want to be that person. Okay, so some people are chosen to be the storefront for the Yetzer Hara, but those people will unfortunately pay dearly. Torah always tells you better to pay in this world than to pay in the next world, right? You know, you owe money to someone, you borrowed a book from someone, you borrowed a vacuum cleaner from someone, like, be very careful to
return.
Yes, because if not, sometimes they say you may have to roll back to return it, and you don't want to do that. Okay, you want to be clean hands. Okay, so that's one version of clean hands. Another version of clean hands is a very beautiful version. It's an interesting version. What's that? Is give credit where credit is due. It's an interesting idea. It's hard. Like, sometimes I feel very guilty about it because when I'm teaching Torah, like, I don't want people to think, oh, wow, what a great idea. These great ideas are because I've searched a lot of great ideas. And then sometimes Hashem is, not sometimes, always Hashem is really good. And he'll gift me sometimes with an inspiration from their inspiration. But I'm not the one innovating all these wonderful, beautiful pieces of Torah, you know? Like, we have to be we have to be honest about it, right? So like I'm listening to so many different people, Esther Bela Schwartz, and this one and that one, and it's a culmination of all of these beautiful ideas, but they're not my ideas. Yes, okay, they're not my ideas, right? Now, when you look at your life, some people are highly successful people. Okay, what's the hardest part about being a highly successful person? What about if you were somebody like you really didn't come from big millions and you took whatever $100,000 you have and now you are a billionaire? What's the problem? So Jody, I think you were going to answer. What's the problem, Jody?
Not being arrogant.
Exactly right. So clean hands is to be able to say, this is Hashem. He blessed me. He gave me the right time, the right place. Thankfully, Hashem, he helped me make the right decisions. And guess what? I am a billionaire thanks to Hashem's blessings, right? And not kochi ve'etzem yodi. That's interesting, right? It's not me and the strength of my yodi hands. That's the idea of clean hands and arrogant hands. There's like two different kinds, right? Okay, so Talia, what did you want to add?
Well, you were talking about ideas. I thought all ideas are from God, actually, aren't they?
Yeah, in many ways, yes. In many ways, yes. But people, work to strive to, you know what I mean? Develop the idea, think of the idea, do this, and then Hashem can send it in. 100%. I agree with you. 100%. 100%.
But are the bad ideas from Yetzer Hara?
Probably yes, right? And now you have choices, though. You have choices to work with the ideas that Hashem sends you. So sometimes Hashem will pop into your head. You ever wake up in the morning and you're just in the worst mood. You ask yourself, like, what the heck? Like, I didn't even pig out the night before. Like I really was good. I went to bed. I said the Shema. I was like, what did I do? Right? And then you wake up and you're on the wrong side. You're like, what am I going to do today? It's going to be so boring. I don't know what you're thinking, right? And you ask yourself, like, where'd that idea come from? So where'd that idea come from?
Yetzer Hara.
Yeah, Yetzer Hara from Hashem. Yetzer Hara is a malach of Hashem. He's an angel of Hashem. So where did he come from? He came to, give you a little test, give you a little push, make you work a little harder. Maybe you got to work on your appreciation. Clean hands are also people who say thank you a lot. It's a nice idea. Like lots and lots of gratitude, 24/7, like you came home and Baruch Hashem, it's all in one piece. When you listen to that story, listen to these stories of people, Khalila, right now it's happening. Terrorist attacks in Eretz Yisrael are unfortunately very common right now. Right? Esther told me today, there was somebody where was it, in a yishuv, Esther, where the man was in the shower. Like, Baruch Hashem, I'm in my shower. He's in a shower and his child came running in. He said, I hear something. I think there's a terrorist came into the house. And a terrorist came into the house. And the man ran out of the shower and he took his gun and thank Hashem he had one. And thank Hashem he shot the terrorist.
Right.
Yesterday. Yeah, yesterday's story. So I'm trying to say, right? So clean hands, let's go through it again. So clean hands is one, try to be as honest as you possibly can. And don't use your hands to take what really doesn't belong to you. Take your hands and shake them and say, oh, I'm so grateful. This is amazing. I have what I need and I need what I have. That's it. I have what I need and I need what I have. And what you have is what you need. Really, you have your mission and it comes with its paraphernalia, and my mission comes with mine. I don't need your stuff, but if I borrow your stuff, then I need to return your stuff because it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to you. Okay, so I need to return it, right? So that's one idea. And the second idea is I'm not going to have arrogant hands. I'm not going to take credit for my handiwork, right? Because my handiwork, in all honesty, like it's a joke when you think about it. Like Hashem gives you the life and gives you the talent and gives you the koyach and gives you the wherewithal and gives you this and gives you that, blah, 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 right? So, you made a choice to use it, and for that you will get a reward. And not only that, you'll get a really big reward as if you did the whole thing from A to Z, right? So it's like, don't let it get to your head. Don't let it get to your head, right? And then the other idea is have hands that are full of gratitude. such a nice idea, and really, I know people who they use the hands of gratitude and they also make a blessing at the same time. It's not only thank you, Hashem, I have a shower and I have my health. This is a big lesson that Esther Baylor Schwartz teaches everyone. And I think she also had a bout with cancer, right? And she said this also, she changed it. Like it wasn't just thank you, Hashem, for what I have. It's thank you, Hashem, for what I had in the past, and thank you, Hashem, and please let me have it in the future. Like, I don't want to take it for granted. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to take it for granted. And I find it, unfortunately, very easy to take it for granted, right? Not only to take it for granted, but to look around at it and go, I'm still missing. So here is like an important reality of what these clean hands are. All right. And it's a very interesting idea. There also is this part in the Torah that tells you when it comes to things. Okay, so here's a story. All right, there's something that the Chafetz Chaim, he calls it shalom money. Shalom money. What's shalom money? So he said, he had a couple once that came to him, and the husband was with the wife. The wife wanted to buy a pair of shoes. What did the husband say? We don't have money. I don't know what she's a Michiganer. Why should she want a pair of shoes? She doesn't need any shoes. What's this big thing with shoes? And you know what the Chafetz Chaim said? Buy her a pair of shoes. Okay. He said, I don't have any money. He said, you have. Whatever money you have that you were saving up for something else, you take that money and it's called shalom bayis money. Okay, so sometimes, like, let's say you get into a little bumper stumper. Does anybody get into those little bumper things? You drive into the parking lot and you just didn't hop and you went, right? And you scratch someone's car. So scratching someone's car today is not a simple idea. Like you scratch someone's car and you're like, okay, so for $100, we'll fix it. Okay, then what happens? So you tell me, you go to the mechanic and what does he tell you?
$1,000.
Usually, $1,000 is like the minimum. Okay, 500. Sarah, give out your mechanic's name, right?
I will give you. I have a very good
a really good
mechanic.
one. Okay, so
And he's Jewish.
okay, amazing. Noch besser.
Who is it? What's his name?
He
Forget about
is
the class.
Victor Schwartz,
Okay.
Israeli-Hungarian.
Okay, good. So you'll send out his name. It's not a joke. So anyway, so you know what? You're all frustrated. You're so angry, so stupid. It's just a little scratch. Why can't you get over it? Telling the other person, look, you had another scratch over there. How do you know my scratch is a new scratch? Like, you go nuts. So what's the Torah tell you? Have clean hands. Don't get into a whole big argument. Don't worry about it. Shem will give you the money. It will work out. Right?
You're buying actually your shalom.
Yes,
something you did wrong.
Yes,
you have to say that.
100%. Okay, so this is also, I think, a very beautiful idea. Like Hashem, He'll help you out with it. You don't have to get all anxious over these things. There's something like shalom money. Like I know someone that they got scammed. They really got scammed. And like today, we have to be so careful. They can do such incredible things today. Like they moved money between their bank accounts. They called them up and they said, oh, by accident, $6,000 was put into your bank account. And the person's like, what are you talking about? And they checked the bank account and it was. And what they had really done was just moved money from one bank account to the next bank account. They didn't realize that. Right. And then they scammed them. It was like a whole mess. And they ended up losing almost $10,000. Okay. Now they're trying to get them, like filing at the bank to try to get insurance. It's not so easy. They're not necessarily taking the claim. So like today, we got to be, really, really careful. So the person feels like a complete what? Tell me.
Never.
Yeah. You said, Sarah, like the biggest nebach on 2 feet. And they're walking around so down, so bad enough that the money was taken. Now they have this whole big bad feeling. What is the real answer? What's the real answer? Should they feel that way? No. This goes to what you said, Talia. Like where how did they fall for it? Like it was such a silly scam. It was silly. Like at the end, how he told them to get the money, you have to buy gift certificates, like which bank would have, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what happened there? Like, what happened to the light bulb? It's a very smart person. Like, it's not an idiot, right? So what did Talia say? I don't know if there was so much free will choice. Like I told the person, I don't really think there was tons of free will choice. I don't think so. I think Hashem wired that story. He wired it for you. And it was just a lesson in, what's it a lesson in? Amuna. A lesson in trust in Hashem. You know what? If the money was meant to be yours, it will be
Yours.
And if it's not, I mean, this is easier said than done. All of this is climbing a mountain. Remember, climbing a mountain is not easy. It's not natural. It's not what just comes about. Climb a mountain, you gotta prepare. You gotta work. You gotta get fit, right? So what's going on here? The person has to say, you know what, Gamzu Latova, right? This happened to happen. I'm like, it's very easy for me to say, but we're talking about it. We're saying how we're willing to work towards this. That's what we're saying. This money obviously will have to be taken from me. I will do all the hishtadlus I can to get the money back, because that's a derech of nature. I live in a real world. Hashem says I have to do hishtadlus. If that hishtadlus is blessed or not, if the bank decides, yes, I'll give you the money, or no, I don't give you that money, where does that come from?
Hashem.
100%. You're saying it so well. That's the equation. And if it's from Hashem, then what can I do with it? What can I do with it? I can turn Shweki on and I can sing the song. Nothing bad comes from Hashem. And maybe that's a kapara. Maybe I needed to lose that $10,000 and that washed off, right? And in the merit of the amuna that I had, I just went, woo, and who knows what I saved. What I mean in this reality of our lives.
Gail, may I
Yeah.
just ask something?
Sure.
It just seems such a strange concept, everything. Why is Hashem making this all happen in the first place? But that's beside the point. I got hit by a car that pushed me into another car. I waited for the other car to come. I didn't know who it was or why. And when they finally came, I said, look, I was pushed into your car. And he said, I don't even see the scratch, but you're the most honest person I ever know. I said, well, here's $20, get a car wash. He said, okay, thank you, but you don't have to do that. But it was like, I was thinking, what is with Hashem? Like, what is with Hashem?
I guess Hashem wanted you to have
And
an
I think maybe I should just have a lesson, a learning with Jody. She seems to know more than I do. So I should just call her up and say,
oh, Jody, ready to get that? Okay, so I'm going to tell you, yeah, you're right. It's a very, very hard understanding, but you just earned a gazillion air miles to heaven. And that's what's
I
going to
don't know.
You
I don't
did, because
know
you
it.
made a kiddush Hashem. When he turned around and he said to you, you're one of the most honest people I know, then
He
you
said he waited 20 minutes for me to come to the car.
yeah,
For
okay,
no
so then
reason.
that's
You
what it
could have
is.
driven away.
So that's a beautiful story. So that's what
But
the point is.
It makes no sense to me.
Well, the sense is, it doesn't make sense to you because you don't see that bigger picture, but God drew out from you an incredible Kiddush Hashem. It drew out from you that people looked at you and said, wow, now that's someone incredible. And you yourself may not even have known.
Everybody called me stupid.
No, I'm telling you something different. That's what the Tehillim is telling you. It's not what I tell you. Okay, so Talia, because I
It's
just want to
so
finish.
like upside down.
Yeah, it feels
story.
that way. Talia, go ahead.
I just have a question. You said there's mannequins for the Yetzer Hara. Is there mannequins for the Yetzer Tov too?
100%. And that's what we say. Like, let's say that story with the Shimon Olani, he went to see all those great rabbis. Those were the mannequins for the Yetzer Tov, right? So you may look at that mannequin, like when you go to these great people in Jerusalem, you are not going to see beautiful homes and this and that. You're going to see like a rundown nothing, right? And you're going to just see people who gave their lives for the Jewish people, who have like a smile from ear to ear and who are there with a heart bigger than whatever. And that is a mannequin to you because it shows you what really in the end matters. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's very interesting. Look at all the fame and fortune of all these movie stars. Not one of them, I'm going to tell you now, ever had a funeral where over close to a million people showed up. None of them. Nobody cares about them at the end. They age just the way the rest of us do. And they're not pretty anymore, and they're not this anymore, and there's nothing that's really been left behind. No legacy, no nothing. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there definitely are mannequins. So many, Baruch Hashem. Thank Hashem. Rabbi Wallerstein, perfect mannequin for the Yetzer Tov. Perfect. Okay, so let's see. But good questions. You guys have very good questions. Okay, now, so let me see what else I wanted to tell you. Okay, so this is what we want to internalize. Okay, yeah, it's very interesting. When a person has to go up and climb a mountain, what does he take with him?
Water.
Okay, water. What else?
A stick.
Yeah, okay, a stick. So what's he going to
Shoes.
Yeah, shoes. Is he going to take his blow dryer? Okay. Is he going to take his TV set?
Only
No.
the strictly necessary thing.
What did you just say? Say it again, Sarah.
Only the strictly necessary
Okay.
things.
But why is he not going to take all that other stuff?
Because they are
You won't be able to
superfluous.
climb.
He won't be able to climb. It'll just get in his
way.
Wait.
Okay, so that's a very important part. If you want to be a person who climbs this mountain, right? You want to climb the mountain to reach Hashem. You want to climb the mountain to the temple of you in Jerusalem. You want to climb the mountain to the base of Mikdash. You don't want to be carrying a bunch of stuff that just gets in your
Way.
So what's a bunch of baggage that gets in your way? What's baggage that would get in your way when you're trying to climb the mountain? When you're trying to be a spiritual person, what's the baggage that would get in your way? I'm being real. I'm asking that question. Anybody can unmute.
All bad thoughts, all criticism.
Yeah. Like if you get too into the wrong things, right? If everything in life is really about what it looks like, and I have to have this toy, and I have to have that toy, and I need this popularity, and I need that popularity, and everybody to love me, and I need this. I have to be the smartest, and I have to be the best, and I have to have the right this, and I have to have the right that. It's going to be very, 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 very hard to climb the mountain because you're carrying way too much baggage. So this is a story. It's a very nice story. And I think we have to appreciate who we are and where we live today. So there was like a elderly Yid, an older Jewish man from Jerusalem, who was talking about what it was like to live in Jerusalem in the 30s and the 40s. Okay, he's a much older man now, right? So he's talking about what it was like for him to be in school in those years. So he said in Jerusalem, they had a lot of love and there was a lot of wonderful people. But one thing there was very, very scarce at that time was food. Well, people would die of starvation in Yerushalayim. Like, it's scary to think about it. Right? So what happened? He said there was a person who would, one woman, she took upon herself, it's like she'd go through everyone's house, she'd go to everybody's house, and she would collect their crusts of bread, mamish crusts of bread. And she'd come to the school, the yeshiva where he was, and there would be 3 baskets, okay? Crust of bread that could be fleischig, crust of bread that came from something milchix, and crust of bread that came from parv. And he said the boys were so excited to have this opportunity to eat just this crust of bread. And they were so happy and so satisfied. And they'd go right back to learning. So in other words, there wasn't a lot of baggage because there wasn't a lot of temptation. Things were so limited, right? So the man who was telling over the story, he was saying to the people there, he said, I just want you to know, I feel for you in this generation. Because the temptations and the amount of baggage that you can pick up today is outstanding. You are aware of everything around you. You don't have a quiet moment, right? And you have a world out there, right? A world of advertisement, a world of marketing, a world of people that are trying to capture your
Imagination.
Your imagination. In fact, I think that was even better than the word mind. That was great, Sarah. They're not looking for your logical, intellectual mind at all. In fact, they want your imagination. That was so well said, right? Because nobody is, buying any of these products because of their logic, okay? Like I was telling my husband, we were in Walmart, we were buying a t-shirt for him. And I said, I'm laughing because this exercise t-shirt in Walmart, it costs $10. Okay. Now, if you would go to the, to a fitness store, right, and you buy an Under Armour t-shirt, it's the same material. It was made in China. They're both made in China. Do you know that? They're not made in a different factory at all. What's the difference?
The label.
Exactly. And what has the label done? What has Under Armour done? It's done so much ads and so much this. I mean, not just talking Under Armour, Nike, any of them. Right? You've been inundated with all these images, right? So who are the people that wear the Nike t-shirt? Who? The athlete, the good looking guy, they take all these like star athletes and they pay them to wear the clothing, right? Because when you see, Mr. Muscle wearing Under Armour, then what do you think? Oh, muscle, Under Armour, put it together. I get it. Really, putting on the t-shirt ain't going to give you any muscle. I'm telling you now, right? But then when you look at the Walmart thing, like, it's very interesting, like, right, when Hillary Clinton had to insult Donald Trump. So what did she say? The people who vote for you are Walmart shoppers, right? Because Hillary Clinton wouldn't be caught dead in something that isn't with a
Famous label.
exactly, right?
Label.
Yeah. So this Al-Tayyid, he was saying, to be very spiritual when you don't have any other distraction and you really need Hashem because all you have is a crust of bread to eat, it's not so hard. But when you live in a world like today and you can push this all away and you can say, I don't care about all this garbage. I am not taking it with me because I'm busy climbing the mountain. And you have to really take a deep breath and you have to say the Tehillim is talking to you. And Baruch Hashem, for you to climb the mountain, you say, you know what, Hashem? The only baggage I don't want to take is I don't want to take dirty hands. I want to take gratitude with me. I want to take an appreciation that everything that is happening and all my successes are really your blessings. And I'm so grateful for that. And I want to give credit where credit is due. And I don't want anything that doesn't belong to me. And if I took anything from anyone, remind me, okay? So that I can return it, okay? Okay, so Jody, we need you. We need you, okay? So it is time for a thank you prayer.
Not a problem.
Okay, you get your stuff and I'm gonna stop this recording.